All right, so good afternoon. I am joined by Heather and Brianna. Hopefully somebody else will come in. I know that we had a really good conversation earlier today.
I need to turn off the mic.
Turn on and turn your volume all the way down. No mic, no camera, and turn the volume all the way down. Okay, there we go. Now that we're awake, let me go ahead and we will... you guys have done this before, so I can probably just dispense with the rules. You know that you can't see each other anyway, so this is a conversation. This is not, I will probably ask if nobody's speaking, and I'm going to try and stay out of it. I do a very bad job of that, though. I usually talk a lot when I shouldn't, so I apologize in advance. But we're going to be discussing this issue, and I found this video, and this is about a 3-minute video, and this is what we're talking about today. No!
Yeah, that's what I run into.
Oh, no! Why? Let me see here.
Reenact the video?
It was, it's a video that talks about the actual rules for police officers in what they are. Let me see if I can bring it up through YouTube here. So it's racial profiling versus criminal profiling. Criminal. Does any of this look right? It does not. Great. Yeah, this worked just absolutely fine this morning. Did I delete this? Let's go. It's just gone. It is just gone. I can't believe that. Okay. Try finding one more. See if I can find it here. Okay. Well, there is another one that I have. Okay. And I can't even find that one. Oh, I know why. Sign in. Hello. Okay. Okay, we're just going to have to continue on. There was a video, and it had come out probably earlier in the year, about springtime. A black woman had just been pulled over, and she was obviously upset. And she said, I had to talk about this. Normally I don't get this upset and I don't post things, but she had been pulled over by a white cop and was terrified, absolutely terrified. She had just gotten off the, I think her husband was at an Air Force base, and she had just come back from seeing him, and she was on her way home, and she was driving below the speed limit, so she knew she wasn't getting pulled over for speeding. And she said that she was so scared when this officer came up, and he just asked her, "Are you okay?" Because apparently the way she was driving under the speed limit, sometimes it indicates that a person is really tired and they shouldn't be driving, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're under the influence. And he honestly just stopped her to find out if she was okay, if she needed any kind of medical attention or anything. And she the point she was making is that she was so incredibly upset because she had no idea that what she did, and she knew it was a white cop, and she was scared to death that it was because she was a black woman that she was pulled over. But it turned out that nope, he just cared about what condition she was in, making sure she was okay to drive home, and just making sure she was safe. And so that really shocked her. It really surprised her, and it struck me when I saw that video about how much um, there is how prevalent is racial profiling versus criminal profiling. And I apologize for not having the video, but thinking about that, can you guys kind of do you see if there's any difference between racial profiling versus criminal profiling?
I used to have a black boyfriend, and a cop came up to us. I think it was the 4th of July. Riverwalk Park is covered in cops, and asked me if I was okay. I was just like, "Are you sure this guy is treating her?" And I'm like, "He's my boyfriend."
Wow.
Just because he was black, he's dressed like a normal person, wearing like an American flag T-shirt, and he looks like a criminal just because of the color of his skin to this cop. But I think for criminal profiling, that would involve like gang tattoos or something like that, gang attire. I think that would be a much more acceptable way to profile than racial profiling.
Okay. Brianna, what do you think?
I agree with what she said. It's wrong to just profile someone based off their color of their skin, and I agree with what she said on how if they were dressed like a gang member, then yeah, you have somewhat of a right to profile them because, oh, look, they're in a gang. I should see if they're doing anything wrong.
Okay. And now sometimes I do agree that there's, especially with the tattoos, I know that there are definite signals out there for many of them, but there are some people who just wear the baggy pants and the heavier clothing, the large size clothing, just because. Does that mean that by choosing to dress as they dress, that they understand that they're going to be profiled because they dress like gang members would?
There was like a 16-year-old girl, East Bakersfield, dressed with like basketball shorts, a baggy shirt, and she was harassed by police because they thought she was a machete-wielding black man. She had like a poster tube in her backpack. So she was wearing baggy clothes and she was black. That's why she was stopped. I think that they really shouldn't do any kind of profiling. Some Asian lady became nationally famous in Fresno because she had this beautiful mugshot, and nobody would ever stop her because she looked so beautiful. She looked like a normal person. Nobody would stop her because she looked like a normal person. But then they found drugs and a pistol and a bunch of stuff on her.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you guys. This is actually where the prompt is coming from for this writing task. Dan White wrote an article, and this is a piece of that article. And the prompt for this module is going to come specifically from Dan White. He says, "Believe me, merchants don't like monitoring their customers to prevent theft, but they know that it's a matter of economic survival. Merchants know that closely watching customers is bad relations if done crudely. However, the retail industry loses over $31.3 billion every year, and shoplifting represents about one-third of that. Customer surveillance is limited to the public areas where there is no expectation of privacy, as opposed to inside fitting rooms and restrooms that are considered private areas. If trained professionals do the surveillance properly, most people will never realize they have been observed while shopping. And since people from certain communities are more likely to shoplift than others, it's not surprising that loss prevention personnel keep a close watch on them." Certain groups simply harbor more lawbreakers, and while in theory security personnel should keep a watchful eye on everyone, the reality is that they need to focus their attention where it will pay off. The fact that certain ethnic groups are overrepresented in arrest statistics show that targeting them for increased police scrutiny is a smart business move and should be at the core of every business's security policy. Keep in mind that the surveillance personnel, so we're looking at security guards, we're not looking at camera surveillance, but these are specific
Okay.
people who circulate among the other customers and keep a close eye on people who may be looking suspicious or who may be part of their color of their skin may indicate that they might be more likely to shoplift. So the Dan White is saying that this is perfectly acceptable, and as long as they're doing this in a surreptitious way, that it's okay. What do you think? While you think about that, let me show you what the discussion board said first. This quote started out as very logical, but then just escalated into something very rude. While I completely understand that businesses lose a lot of money and that surveillance is necessary, however, to say that only certain races or groups of people should be watched is a bit extreme. Granted, there are some communities that are labeled as being bad, dangerous, and are known for drugs and theft. However, while I do not live in these communities, I am out talking to those in the communities quite a bit, and I can tell you from experience that they are not as bad as they are made out to be. People in those areas are often very kind and respectful. The same goes for races such as Black and Hispanic. I interact quite a bit with people of those races, and they are often very nice. People tend to get a bad reputation from those similar to them. Therefore, I do not agree with Mr. White when he says that certain groups simply harbor more lawbreakers. This line of thinking is rude and irrational. What do you think?
I completely agree with it that saying that certain groups simply harbor more lawbreakers. That's rude, but I do think that it is okay to pay closer attention to certain people. We aren't blind to what other people look like. We all experience first impressions. We all look at people from what they appear on the surface. And it really takes getting to know someone to see their character, to see who they are. You can't just look at someone and say they're a nice person, they're a bad person. We're all subject to our own prejudice.
What do you think, Brianna?
I completely agree with what the student had said about the certain groups simply harbor more lawbreakers. That is very rude. For like all you know, a white person can walk into let's say a Target, for example, and they are the suspicious one who is stealing things from the store. But if a black person comes in, they're the one who is, or because they believe that one will steal because of the color of their skin. And I find that to be very, very wrong.
Okay.
I understand that there is profiling and it is a necessary thing in stores because, oh, I need to watch this person, but that is very wrong. To single out a race more than another, you shouldn't do that.
Okay. There was somebody who agreed with Mr. White, and this person said, I do agree with this. My family owned a clothing store for over 40 years, and dealt with theft on the daily basis. I'm sure she meant to say. Every person